Welcome to Let's Therapy, where we get real and raw about your mental health, faith, and blended family. We're your hosts, counselors Scott and Vanessa Martindale. Now let's therapy.
Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Therapy. We are your hosts, Scott and Vanessa Martindale. We are excited to be with you. We are counselors, married 10 years, and founders of Blended Kingdom Families. And we're going to dive into a really cool topic today. We're going to talk about counseling, and we're going to talk about therapy options for blended families. If you are in a blended family, the concept of therapy needs to be like, yes, let's do it.
Yes.
So there's different types.
Well, yeah, there's so many different types. And I think a lot of people really don't know what is available to them. Counseling offers, and specifically to blended families, the opportunity to address your issues. You can strengthen relationships, whether that's biological and step, relationships, vice versa, your marriage, and cultivate a supportive and harmonious family environment. You want, especially in blended families, you want and need that unity and that foundation of trust. And so by investing in counseling, you can build up a solid foundation for resilience and growth and create a happy and healthy home. And so, one form of counseling that most people, you really don't see a whole lot of. It's a lot of individual counseling or couples counseling, but family therapy.
I think people are scared of that.
I think they're very scared of it. But it is, I will tell you guys, when you can get the entire family system into a room together and talk through things, man, I have seen some amazing things happen through that. But family therapy involves sessions with a trained therapist who helps the entire blended family navigate your challenges, help you improve your communication, and strengthen those relationships.
Yeah, I would just say, through counseling and through our coaching, I've had the opportunity to do family counseling. And it is really tough, but not for the reason that you think. The biggest reason family counseling is so incredibly discouraged is people don't want to be faced with what they did.
Yeah.
They just don't. It's almost like, especially in blended families, like you have a divorce and you just say, oh, that slate is wiped clean. I got remarried and this is new. And everything that happened beforehand, I don't have to think about. But the problem is you're dragging all of that relationship into your new marriage, whether that's through your children or through your behaviors. And you have these spouses, these ex-spouses that basically can't stand each other.
Yeah.
Trying to co-parent when they don't respect each other. How can two people parent a child and not have respect for each other? Mm-hmm. That is impossible. Mm-hmm. You don't respect their decisions or their authority or anything about their relationship. So the biggest deterrent to family counseling is I don't want to be called out.
Yeah.
I don't want to be. I don't want my junk to be brought up. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I'm just going to let my children dissolve that. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna pretend like it didn't happen, and I'm gonna let my children dissolve that. And it's just a painful thing. But I will say the benefits of it are tremendous.
Yeah.
We don't when sin comes out into the open and we can deal with it, we can seek forgiveness, that's when healing occurs.
Yeah.
And I don't know a better way than to yell it from the rooftops. Like, you will not live in the fullness of what God's created for you until you are seeking healing and forgiveness. That just does not happen without it.
Yeah. Well, and it's a great place to start, with family therapy. You can come together as a family unit when everyone is, wanting to be aligned together. And it's really something everybody, you've got to want this. You've got to want this for your family. If you're, dragging your feet, and granted, kids will drag their feet. I don't want to go to counseling, blah, blah, blah. But 9 times out of 10, once they get into it, they really enjoy it because they discover that, hey, this is a safe place where I can share safely and not be, misinterpreted or kind of be hit over the head with whatever it is that I'm feeling, so to speak. And another form of therapy is the individual therapy. And this is what we do a lot of. And it's where you can come in by yourself or your children can come in by themselves. And it provides a safe and confidential space for each family member to explore their own thoughts, their own feelings, and experiences related to what they're going through in the blended family dynamic. And so this is very important, I think, when you're beginning to blend, but also like as you're growing in your blended family, you're going to have different seasons. And we say that a lot with blended families. You're going to experience different seasons, highs and lows. And so not just waiting to get into therapy for yourself when something's wrong, but being in therapy, and maybe that you come once a month, you're just being proactive, and you have a source of accountability and someone to go to kind of be like a measuring stick, that's like, okay, let me check the pulse. Like how are things going this month? How are things going in your blended family?
Well, I think it's just something that if people did, they would love it. I think there's just such a stigma behind it that there's an aversion to this. But counseling, individual counseling, is just that opportunity for having somebody who is invested only in you, who's pouring into you, who's listening to you, that can point out things that you're not seeing.
Yeah.
They can point out repetitive phrases, point out repetitive behaviors, you can look at and say, hey, these are my goals, and let's hold some accountability to that. The other side, which we do a lot of, is the couples counseling, marriage counseling.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's listening to this, please hear me. Marriage counseling is good.
Yes.
It is so good.
So good.
God created your marriage to be amazing, and all we do in our life is figure out ways to confuse it and complicate it. And marriage counseling is that opportunity for you to have continuity with your spouse, to enjoy your marriage the way that God intended you to enjoy it. I can't tell you the number of couples that I've counseled that they come in and they've got wires crossed and they're not in agreement. And then when we get to the end, they are so much more in love. They are so much more connected. They are so much more fulfilled in their marriage. And why would you not do that? It's like, I use this example in counseling so much. I'm like, Vanessa and I, we're both in our 40s. So if I equated our marriage to like a 1976 VW Bug, one of those old classics, with the engine in the back. I mean, the old people that are listening know what I'm talking about. But if you were to take that and throw it on the interstate and drive it 80 miles an hour and never service it, how long do you think it would last? Mm-hmm. It will not last very long. We are not built that way. We have to be governed. We have to have accountability. We have to learn things. And that's what marriage counseling does. It's not just an excuse to come in and let me gripe about my spouse.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to come in and say, hey, we need to work on communicating, or we need to work on intimacy. We need to work on understanding how a prayer life can be between a husband and a wife. Yeah. And that's what I love about it. No,
I think that's great. And, with couples counseling too, in the premarital counseling, when you're beginning to blend, I would recommend, if you have been divorced and you're remarrying, or you've had a spouse that passed away and you're remarrying, you guys, premarital counseling, we highly recommend it and encourage it.
Well, statistics will tell you 90% success rate if you do premarital counseling.
Yes.
I mean, it's such a high statistic.
Absolutely. There's also child therapy. So we get this a lot, especially with blended families. We see a lot of kiddos from blended families that need child therapy because they've been through the traumatic event of a divorce of their parents, or they had a parent that passed away. A lot of them too, maybe they don't know their parents. So there's like a mother or father wound because of a parent of abandonment. We see a lot of that in blended kiddos, just a sense of abandonment. And so child therapy can be great for your children because it can really be specific to their needs. And there's so many different forms of child therapy. There's like art therapy and play therapy, depending on their age. And so you can really find someone who specializes that can work with your children and help them process through the emotions and the things that they are feeling and experiencing.
Well, and the other thing, if you're a parent and you're listening to this, please don't represent that if your child needs counseling, that's something you messed up on. Yeah. So I think a lot of times the reason parents don't bring their kids in for counseling is they have to admit that they made a mistake.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, first, you're not perfect and you're going to make mistakes. But also, there's a tremendous amount of influence kids have that are outside the walls of your home.
Yeah.
Peer pressure, anxiety, depression. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are getting bombarded with just influence. Yeah. And yes, we want them in church. We want them to have great biblical, godly friends. But the truth of it is they are not growing up in the world that you grew up in. So please don't misinterpret your experience as a child, and how you turned out is going to be the same for them.
Right.
Because we do see higher levels of teen suicide. We see higher levels of more severe mental disorders in children today than we ever have before.
Yeah.
Cutting, people who are abusing different, innocuous things in the house to get chemical highs.
Yeah.
We see relationships, higher, pre-sex rates, things like that. These are all things that your kids are dealing with. And instead of turning a blind eye, lean into it and say, hey, let's get you a counselor that you can talk to.
Absolutely. Well, and there's another type of therapy, and it's fairly new, and it's a non-traditional type of psychotherapy, but it's called EMDR, and it's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And it's really growing in popularity. We actually have one of our therapists who is trained in this, but it's particularly for treating people who have post-traumatic stress disorder. So you've heard the term PTSD. It can also be for people who have severe anxiety disorders, phobias, depression disorders, and it's really cool, the process by which it's done. But you do have to find a therapist that is specialized in this. And it's interesting how it helps to kind of retrain the brain. And again, get to that PTSD or the anxiety or the depression, the things that you're experiencing. Because your mind is the collection of thoughts and memories, beliefs and experiences that make up who you are, right? And so, it's a way of kind of restructuring those negative events that have happened so that you aren't experiencing that anxiety and depression and post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah. The last two that we want to just point out, and they're a little bit more individualized to your area, but whether they be parenting classes, workshops, whether they're done. I know I did a parenting class at our church, last semester. Those are great. Or support groups that you can get on Google. I think what I want to say three last things here. Number one, remember that the enemy wants to isolate you. So if you're hearing this and you feel like you're struggling with this by yourself, understand that that's exactly where the enemy wants you. And he wants to keep you there in shame or in bondage to say, don't speak up, don't say anything, don't ask your husband, don't ask your wife about this. It's too embarrassing. You won't recover if you do. That's what the enemy wants to tell you. And we want to give you freedom, and we want to give you relief in that. We want to say, God does not want you to sit in isolation. He wants you to go out and seek help. He created people that have skills that can help you. And so please do that. The next thing I would say is there are resources available. So if you're in the DFW area, Vanessa and I, we own a amazing counseling center called Seven Therapy. That's SEVN Therapy. You can go in. It is a completely redesigned type of atmosphere for counseling that is really amazing. And I love it. The design is amazing, but really the people that come through here, the amount of teenagers, the amount of marriages, the amount of individuals that just really find a different setting for counseling to be really refreshing. That would be number two. So if you're in the DFW area or if you're in the state of Texas, we also do teletherapy as well. And the last resource that I want to give to you if you're looking for it and maybe you're outside of Texas is we do offer coaching through Blended Kingdom Families, whether it be coaching with Vanessa and I or with one of our other certified coaches. So again, don't sit in isolation when there are so many tools out there that can help you and that can help you be more fulfilled and really live in alignment with the way God wants you to live. So guys, we hope that you've enjoyed this kind of, just broader education side of like, what is counseling and what is available to me, whether that's family or individual or marriage or child. So hope you've enjoyed it. Please send us your feedback. We'd love to hear your reviews. If you've got a topic that you'd love us to address, you can shoot an email to us or give us the feedback on your review. We'd love to address that. Also, if you need any additional resources for blended families, you can visit blendedkingdomfamilies.com and look at all of our resources. And last but not least, we do have the Blended Family Conference coming up in October. If you are a blended family and you're in the DFW or anywhere in the world and you'd love to attend, that conference will be right here in the DFW area at Compass Church in Colleyville in October. So you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for being with us, and we will talk soon.
Be blessed in all that you do.